and welcome. My name is Wendell Mosby, and welcome to the inaugural podcast video blog of Crisis Proves Character. And one of the things about why I chose Crisis Proves Character, because in those moments where you're being challenged, you either rise to the occasion or you collapse. And there is a lot of people who look at a crisis and they lean into it, and they don't shy away from it. And even if they fall, they get back up. And so, welcome to this inaugural episode with Mrs. Diane Latiker. I met Mrs. Latiker maybe back in 2012, and I've been following her work. I've been a major supporter, however I can, just sharing the news, that the work that she's doing. And she started an organization called Kids Off the Block, and she saw a need, a crisis going on in her community in Chicago, and she decided that she was going to do something. She didn't know what, and she'll tell you more about what she did, and she'll talk about what she's doing now. Because this mother of 8 and a grandmother to many, she is so dynamic. CNN hero, L'Oreal was a woman of praise or something. But she could tell you more about that. But I really wanted to interview her. I've posted about her, but I think that it's important that people hear from her, because she's got a powerful voice, and I think you ought to get to know her. And so, Diane, we just gonna roll through some questions, but wherever you want to start,
Well, I first want to start by saying thank you for inviting me. I think this is awesome. I am very proud that you decided to just do it. And shout out to your wife. But I think it's just awesome, because being somebody who doesn't like to sit on the sideline, because it doesn't benefit any of us when we sit up. Silence. Martin Luther King said silence. You're more damage to society and yourself when you're silent. And not that we have to go out and do these big old things. We can do small things that make a big difference to people. And so starting Kids Off the Block in my house was a huge challenge, because I had no idea what I was doing. I had no way of knowing what this would come to be. I just invited the kids in the neighborhood in my house. And it turned from there. It went from there. Of course, you know that my faith is strong, so I attribute this to a higher power, because Diane Latiker did not want to do this. And so I had to be pushed and prodded. My mom said, just do it. So I did. And I came to find out, Wendell, that at 46 years old, back in 2003, I had found my passion after all those years.
Right.
I was so happy I was pushed into it. God know he gangstered me, though. He did. He gangstered me into this. And I'm so grateful that he did, because I met so many young, wonderful people. The young people are just amazing, and them coming into my house and me getting to know them personally was everything. Didn't know anything about a program, EIN number, none of that stuff, 501c3, none of that stuff. And I learned as I went, and I was naive, and I thought everybody wanted to help the young people. They didn't, because the young people that we serve, they're a breed that people want to just throw away, because they're involved in violence, they're involved in gangs, they drop out of school, they're homeless kids, and their families are shattered. And so nobody wanted to take that on. And I didn't either in the beginning. And I had no idea it was that drastic. But I'm so glad that I did, because we got to help some. And I think that came the idea that I can do something, because we all can.
Right. And I think, Diane, one of the most important things that, it's like when Emmett Till's mother decided to have that open casket.
Yes.
She said,
Yes.
people got to see. And one of the things that you did that was so polarizing, but it made it real for people. And I'm not going to steal your thunder, but I want you to be able to just talk about that, like, because I think that really was a turning point when people, when they, that what was going on in Roseland on the south side of Chicago. I think that it really, people could put their arms around it and say, wow, and the magnitude of it. So talk about that piece that you started.
When I learned about the violence, and you're right, I have 8 kids, 4 boys and 4 girls. And my boys were trying to try to say they gang, that ain't happening in my house. But I fought with them all the time, but I didn't realize how serious it was until I started letting other people's kids in my house. And I found out that the boys were being recruited at 13 years old. And then I started focusing on the violence and realized it was taking over my community. Families were losing their children. Now, I'm not this big person where I can just go out and stop violence. I knew I couldn't do that, but I realized that I could help in a way that I could make the kids in my community feel safe. They could come to a place in their community where the house was open, they could find food, they could get mentored, they could just get driven back and forth to school because of gang fights, or they could, everything. We just did everything. We washed their clothes. We did everything to make them know that people in their community who they didn't know, they came into this strange house and they got help. And so that's what led me to know one little small thing can make a big difference, because those same young people, they're now grown, they're in their 30s, and they still come by and say, Miss Diane, thank you. If you hadn't have done this, or if you and Mr. James hadn't have done that. And you're living in it, so you don't know the magnitude of it, right? But you do know when you plant seeds, you water it right, it will grow.
Exactly. And it only takes one person, and that was so important. When I heard about you way before I met you, and he talked about this woman, this lady who was putting the names of deceased children, victims of gun violence. You were doing these bricks, and it's the gravity of it. When it's in your face like that, even though you don't see the bodies, but those bricks for that memorial that you have, it really starts to, I think, you can quantify the magnitude of the crime and violence in that community. And I think that was so important, that visual is like, wow, you were Black Lives Matter before Black Lives Matter as a hashtag. And I have so much respect for you and what you do. And when you reached out to me, and you had the young man down there in Florida and said, do I know anybody? Yeah. I was like, who do I know down there that I could, help connect with? And I hope that, he's doing well down there and
he is
connected with some people.
Yes, and I thank you for that. That memorial came out of me being angry when Blair Holt was murdered. You remember Blair Holt?
Yes.
Young man, the honor roll student who was killed on the bus, 16 years old. A 14-year-old got on the bus and sprayed the bus. Well, I knew Blair's father, and I knew my daughter Aisha. I went to school with Blair in freshman year at Julian High School. So Aisha and I were really hurt. We were really hurt. We cried all day. And that in that same vein, I kept getting phone calls. Let's meet. Let's rally. And I'm looking at everybody, they call me like, I know they mean well, but it's not working. We've got to do something drastic.
Right.
We've got to do something to bring attention to the lives lost. And so I was in Home Depot that next day, and I saw these stones, and they look like headstones, small headstones. And I told my husband, I say, I want to buy some of those. And so I only had, I had about $35. No, I had about $55. And so we bought 30 of them.
Okay.
And I brought them home. And Blair was the first one that we put a name to and his age. And my husband built me this little monument, and we started putting the stones on there. And I wanted to shake up my community. I wanted to shake up the young people that I served. I wanted to let them know this is real. These names on here, Wendell, somebody loved them. Somebody was their mom. Somebody was their family. They're not just statistics. They were actually live people, young people, 24 years and down. The memorial doesn't go over 24 years. There's a 1-year-old in there who's getting her diaper changed. And they were trying to kill her father, and one of the bullets hit her. And when you see that memorial, and I live across the street from the memorial, so I could hear some of the families come in. You could hear them screaming from the memorial in my house. Right. And when I tell you that like drains your soul, like those families are hurting. And that memorial went from those 30 stones to now there's over 800 over there, and we're over 500 behind because we can't never keep up.
And you know what? And I'm getting chills because, you know, I think that in our communities, our Black communities, that it's become so normalized, and yes, people is so desensitized to the violence that it's just they just go on with life. And I think that, you know, like you just went straight to action. You know what? Enough of us talking. Enough of this. I need to do something. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm being moved to do something. And that yes, ripple effect that you started, I mean, it's infectious. You know, and it's, you know, I'm always in awe when I see you out, when I see you posting. You know, you got your social media game that's definitely strong. And I love it. And I remember how, you know, talking with you and appreciate, you know, and how, you know, it was always about having the right intentions, and you was always cautious about who you allowed in your circle, because you knew that there was people that had bad intentions on.
Yes.
It's up to the good with what you were doing. Their motives weren't pure.
That's
and
right.
I always, you know, when I think about that, you and your daughter, because y'all always like kept everything close to the vest. And, you know, I was always so free in love and like, hey, everybody in, you know. And as I'm older, as I'm married, I definitely, you know, I harken back to that stuff like they was on to something, you know. But Black women, y'all always had a knack about being so progressive and forward thinking, and so, you know, that was just one crisis where you decided, hey, you know what, I got to do something. You know, it's not my kids, but it's going to affect my kids and the yes, kids that they are associated with in my community. And you decided to, hey, I want to do something, and I applaud you for that. And you know, it's just an amazing thing to see. You know, and so as we talk about how crisis proves character, and you've proven it time and time again, you know, your character and how, you know, just the pure and being sincere and so genuine about your love for our Black people. And not even just our Black people, but just for people in general. Because you welcome any visitors, any volunteers, and people that want to help out. You don't discriminate when it comes to that. But you got a love for your community in Roseland. And I look forward to seeing Roseland, you know, turn around and become as a magnificent place that it once was. And it's because of people like you. So yes, Diane, let's fast forward.
Yes.
It's 2020, and we got this coronavirus. And I was reading one of your article about you and how they just, you know, you just say, you know, wait, you said it's another crisis. And there's a quote from Winston Churchill that says, don't let a crisis go to waste. And you pivoted from your business model and and I applaud you for that. And so talk about how, how that change came about and how you were pretty rapid in your response to the community.
Well,
So
it came about, oh, I'm sorry. Were you still talking?
No, go ahead.
So my husband and I decided that we were going to be afraid anyway, because we're at risk. We're seniors, and we, the CDC says we're at risk. So we were already fearing. We were already scared. Same thing with gun violence. We were already scared. So we might as well be scared and do something to help others. If we're going to be scared, in our fear, let's do what we need to do to help. And so we were going to we were feeding young people when they shut down the schools, because of a lot of young people we served, they wasn't going to the schools eating. So we put a little bitty tent across the street on that lot, and we were cooking for the kids every day. When they walked past, they wanted to eat, they could eat. Well, then the governor shut down the state. And so we like, oh, well, then we got to cut that off. So we came in the house and realized we had this big old van sitting out there that we normally carry the kids everywhere. It was doing nothing. So we decided to turn it into a response resource van. So we cleaned it out, took one of the seats out, and started packing it with, we didn't have nothing but little small boxes of gloves and what else we had. I think we had a few masks. And we decided we was going to ride and give them away. And that's how it started. We decided once we got out there, the need was so great, I started begging from everybody, asking everybody to help us. People were hungry. People were without masks, gloves, and sanitizer. So that was our goal right there, to get as much as we could and give it away. And then we started hitting the west side and the north side and the south side. Wherever the need was, we read about it or hear about it on the news, and that's what we did. We feed them and we give them PPEs.
That's amazing. So how many people do you think that you have had some kind of effect and impact on since the whole coronavirus pandemic started?
Oh my God!
Stop counting.
Well, I can go by the last time we checked. I know we did over 21,000 meals. I know that we've done over 5,000 masks.
Wow.
And gloves and sanitizer, because they all go in a pack. And we've given away over 250 face shields to healthcare workers, to hospital workers. So as far as what we've given aside from that, because people actually come to our house and get stuff, I don't keep a number on that. But I could say that we've helped quite a few people, because they tell us. They actually tell us. They thank us so much. We even deliver to seniors. We deliver to people who have health problems. We go to their home. They don't have to come. If they call or they inbox me, where do you live? Where we going? We went all the way out to, what suburb was that? It was about an hour and a half away. We had to go out there and deliver stuff. This veteran called us. He doesn't have any legs, and he couldn't take his garbage out. And James and I went over there and took his garbage out, found out he needed food. We got him food, and we've been helping him ever since, Mr. Butler. That's what we do. We're using that van to help others.
And that's, you know what? And it's like, and I hope that the young people that tune into this and understand that it doesn't take much, but a little courage to step out of your normal way of doing things, and just do it. And Diane Latiker is clear proof that, she's passionate about what she's doing, and she's committed to it, and her husband be ride or die with her wherever she at, and it's amazing,
yes,
the kind of impact that just two people, just the impact that two people that decided that they were going to change the world and make it a better place. And there's so much more about you, Diane. And I hope that, people go look her up, kidsofftheblock.org, right? Or is it KOB? KOB.org? Diane? What's the
It's
website? Is it
KidsOffTheBlock.us.
KOB?
KidsOffTheBlock.us.
KidsOffTheBlock.us. And you can learn about it. And if you just do a Google search on Diane, you'll find all kinds of articles, interviews. She's got all kinds of accolades. And one cool thing about Diane is that she is so humble. And you will know that she has stood next to some of the most powerful people in the world. Got tickets to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
I mean,
that was amazing.
So humble. And I'm sure you deserve it all, and I hope that, people that tune in and they see this, that, hey, she'll take whatever you got, whether it's PPE stuff, if it's $1, $2, or some cans that you don't want anymore. I mean, she's on the south side of Chicago off 113th, right? In Michigan?
116th in Michigan.
116th in Michigan.
Yes.
And on the south side of Chicago, you can see the memorial that she has, like she said, for those 800 young people who lost their lives to violence in Chicago. And just amazing work. And she's going nonstop, y'all. So just imagine, you're in your 20s and 30s and you're thinking, hey, I want to do something. I mean, let Diane be an example that, you're never too young, never too old, to have an impact in somebody's life.
That's
and
right.
This is right. And this is what the crisis proof character is all about, because there's people who are facing crisis every day, and I want to be able to tell their stories, because there's so many of them. And because it especially this time now, I think that it comforts those that have no one. And as we had the shelter in place, I think that it gives people some hope that there's still some good people in the world and want to just make it better. And so, Diane, any closing thoughts that you want to leave us with on this, my first inaugural podcast?
Congratulations, too. I love it. Crisis proves character. I love it. But two, I wanna make sure people know, even if you are in fear, move on that fear. If you don't move on that fear that you have, it's gonna move on you, and it's gonna paralyze you. And all those things in your mind is running around that you want to do, fear will not let you do it. But if you move on fear and do it anyway, fear will kind of step aside because it has no power. So if you're scared, be scared doing what you want to do, what you love, what you think is right. Move on it.
Man, I love that. And I think that's what crisis is all about. Like, people, it's only a crisis if you make it a crisis. It could be an opportunity for you to do something else, or it's God's way of telling you you have no choice but to do something else. And it's either you decide that I'm going to embrace and leave it in, and because God will make you uncomfortable because it's time for you to move.
That's right.
And I hope that
move on your own.
He'll move for you. He'll make you move. So Diane, thank you again so much. Diane's on Twitter. She's on LinkedIn. She's everywhere. And I hope that you all go ahead and follow her and support her any way you can. And if you have a story, please feel free to reach out to me and let me share the good news, because we need to be those scars that you have. That's battles. That's just marks of distinction that give you the character and make us all uniquely and wonderfully made. And so I thank God for the opportunity that I have to be able to use my platform. And thank you again, Diane, for being my first guest. And just thank you. Just thank you. And
thank you, Wendell.
And keep making Chicago and the world proud, because it's we need to be able to be sharing good news and not always doom and gloom. And you always got a smile on your face, and you ready to tackle the world. And so thank you again. And for everybody, thank you for tuning in to my first episode of Crisis Proofs Character. I'm Wendell Mosby, and until next time.
Thank you.